Hi, guys. Welcome back to this part four of this endless analysis of the final episode of Shingeki no Kyojin. Welcome back. And first of all, I wanted to say thank you so much for all of you who spent a little bit of time watching one of these analysis live streaming. I wait a few seconds until some of you joins. In the meantime, if you wanted to leave a comment in the chat box, feel free to do it. No more spoilers, no more anything. So feel free to tell me your ideas. What did you think about the final episode? If you have some questions, feel free to ask me. And we are almost ready to start. To go on with the analysis. As you could see from the thumbnail, this time I think that I will be able to reach the scene of the baby because we have so many things to say. So. I will wait other few seconds and then I will proceed with the analysis. Okay. Let me just settle really quick some things and then yes, I think that I'm ready. Yes, okay, perfect. Okay, I'm ready. Are you ready to start with me? Yes, okay. So last time we reached the moment in which Levi was starting talking about where Zeke was because his main goal is absolutely to try to find Zeke. Just wait a second because I opened the curtains a little bit more. So okay. Okay, I think it's a little bit better. Yes. Okay, so I was saying that in the previous analysis, we stopped exactly in the moment in which Levi is asking himself where is Zeke, but most of all, he is saying, look, all the times that I had to follow an order made by Erwin, I never failed. But now that my physical conditions are quite hard to handle, and now I find myself in a difficult situation because I need to kill Zeke, but I think that I am. That I have a difficulty to do so. So let's go on from this moment. Because now we start with deep discussions. So let's see things step by step. Yes, exactly. He is saying why these final orders from Erwin caused me so much trouble. Uh, Actually, the fact that he needs to kill Zeke. I think these order, these promise that Devi made, but at the same time, these things that Erwin was asking him for the last time, not only caused him lots of problems because he had to kill lots of other comrades, etc., but even the fact that Levi is facing for the first time his fragility, physically speaking, because he is in a hard situation. He doesn't have an eye. Now he can't even fight because his leg is injured. So as you can see, that's pretty hard. But I wanted to stop for a second because now he's referring to the moment in season 3, part 2, when Levi is saying to Erwin, look, now forget about your dream and die. Go and die. That it's something antithetical. About how to react in an anime. Usually, the characters always tell you, "Oh, please, don't give up. Keep going on fighting." But Levi sounded a little bit different than all the others by saying, forget about your dreams, go and die. So I wanted to go back for a second to watch that scene, because it's quite important to see that dialogue and to understand what Levi refers to. So let me just check it really quick. Let me see if I can find it on YouTube directly. Levi and Erwin last conversation. Okay, here we go. I think we can find it completely. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, okay. But not English dub. I need. Um. Okay. No, I don't want the dub. I prefer in Japanese. Okay. Let me see if I can. English subtitles because on YouTube usually they put the dub version and oh, okay, okay, I found it. Okay, okay. Now I needed to remind you that right now I'm watching season three, part two. Okay, I want to go to the basement. Well, try to imagine if Erwin went to the basement. Of course, he would have confirmed what his father was already telling him. Somehow that means they were not alone and there were other people outside the walls. But let's say that as much as others are slave of some other things, Erwin was a slave of reaching this day of the basement. He did everything. I mean, he modified his life in order to reach the basement. And it's pretty sad if you think about it, because if we think for a second about what Eren did throughout his life, even Eren wasted lots of time trying to reach his goal, don't you think? And that is connecting with with the Armin and Zig's conversation, because in that case, even in that case, when they are talking about life and the importance to treasure some frames in which you are happy, in which you think that you feel free to do something, in which you feel happy to spend time with others. I mean, those moments that they definitely need to be remembered. In the case of Erwin, look, he's always thinking about the basement, and he's basing his life on that day. So I think that 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 life spent in that way, it's a little bit miserable if you think about it, because the goal is becoming not just a goal to reach, but it's becoming something that you can become a slave of. So, um, if at the beginning we thought, oh, look, Erwin has a great purpose, he wants to take everyone outside of the walls, and he is propositive to believe that there will be. People, or that he can find a truth that is still unrevealed, but then we understand, thanks to this conversation, that Erwin is that Erwin is selfish too, because he wants to reach the basement no matter what, no matter if he has to lose many other comrades and whatsoever. But let's go on. But that dream that he was sharing with his dad is becoming a sort of condemn because anyway he's always thinking about that moment, he's always fighting for that moment, he's living for that moment that will never come. uh, yeah, especially when Erwin is saying our comrades are looking for us. Yeah, because he's also, I mean, even Levi now is realizing more than ever that this is happening. It happened two times. I mean, one time when Hanji is asking him if he can see them, and then, of course, in the finale, I mean, in this episode, at the end of the episode, when everything is over. So I know it happens even when he's fighting in the forest with the Zeke against the Zeke. So yeah, let's say that after the moment in which Erwin is explaining to him how he feels and he's asking him if he can see his deadly comrades, he definitely, Levi definitely starts thinking what Erwin was thinking. That means, yeah, they are looking at us and I can see them. Oh, this sentence said by Erwin is powerful because he's saying this conviction that I have. Is it just in my head? That means what I'm trying to do to reach the basement and to think that reaching the basement for me is the right thing because it's a goal of life, let's say. But then he's saying another sentence that could be so powerful if you read it, especially now that we have reached the end of the story, because he's saying, let me go back for a second. He is saying nothing more than a childish delusion. This, for a second, reminds me when even Eren, based on a childish illusion, felt disappointed later. And he was really childish. He was behaving like a baby. I mean, like a young boy who is really spoiled. And when you portray something different in front of his eyes, he feels delusional. So even Erwin was growing up with the same feeling. I don't want to say that right now Erwin would have said, I feel disappointed, but somehow he said it. He said, I feel disappointed that I can't reach the basement. So this disappointment based on delusion because something different happened, something that they didn't plan, that could cause a sort of a trauma, a sort of delusion. Yes, as we were saying. Wow, this sentence now makes you understand that even if there are different characters, so many different characters, they can have something in common. All these characters can, it seems, yes, as if we were saying many, many times, it seems that they are all connected. And this is something unbelievable if you think about it, because this story doesn't connect characters just because of a paths. Even if they derive, that everyone derives from the same source, that is Ymir and the King Fritz. But you understand that they are connected even by principles, by what they wanted to do. I want to finish this conversation really quick. Oh my. Oh my, when Levi's saying it's a thanks to you, Erwin, that we reached so far, it reminds me another sentence that Armin says later to Eren in the manga. But we will talk about it when I will have the manga, so I will tell you my opinions about these. Okay, here the video stops, but definitely Erwin is replying, Levi, thank you. That means he agrees, as if he was somehow ordering Levi to do so as his last order. So now we understand, going back to the last episode, why Levi is saying, "Look, that was my last, or that was your last order, but how? Why is it so difficult to fulfill it as your final order?" But now let's go on with the episode. Yes, for sure. I mean, Levi is saying maybe our jobs were over at that point because we know that. Hi, hello. We know that from that moment Levi stops being under Erwin, and Erwin stops being a commander. So maybe Levi took it so seriously as a final order, even if in that moment, as much as he's saying, probably there was no more order to follow because the commander became someone else. But I think that he took it so personally speaking. I mean, I think that Levi decided to try to fulfill that final order for many reasons. First of all, because he sent him to hell. Yes, I wanted to underline this hell word because later, in even in this episode, we find this word specifically, and then because of course, Levi asks Erwin to sacrifice while he is asking if he can beat the beast titan, and also because he doesn't want that sacrifice will be in vain. And that's why he decides to proceed till the end. Let's say that Levi is not a type of character that leaves things in the middle and he doesn't want to proceed. No, usually Levi is a character that goes straight to the point until he reaches the goal. So I think that he would have felt incomplete if suddenly he decided not to fulfill that promise anymore. And that's why he keeps being loyal to that promise. Yes, I think that loyalty is another of great subjects that you can find in this story. Being loyal, being truth to yourself, and proceed with your intentions until the next conventions, of course, because these stories are based not just on loyalty, but even on promises, but even on convictions and whatever. So I definitely think that Levi would have never felt complete, or would have never felt relieved to reach the point in which he would have said, "Oh, Zeke, okay, I don't want to kill you anymore. Look, I can't do this anymore, so you can go on living." No, absolutely not. Even because Zeke not only killed Erwin, but we know that from season two, from the beginning of season two, he killed so many others. So it was quite disrespectful for Levi to step back and say, "Okay, look, now even if my health condition is so difficult to handle, it's better if I stop killing Zeke." No, there's no way that he would have changed his mind in that case. No. But the fact that he is guessing, I mean, the fact that before reaching that goal, he has a moment of fragility, makes you understand how Levi is human. Because even if he was always considered as the one of a Chosahedan that doesn't have any sort of a facial expression and he's so rude sometimes, etc., etc. No, in this moment, in this final episode, when we are almost reaching the goal, and not just for Levi, but for many other characters, we reach the bottom, as much as I was telling you. So um, I think that even the characters that seems to be strong and they don't have a moment in which they fail, yeah, this is the confirmation that even for Levi, there is this moment, a moment in which he is confronting himself and and approaching the last moments that are crucial, because in the last moments you think about the things that you have never thought, you say things that you have never said. It's a confrontation, not just towards himself, but even to the story that he lived so far. Just to think what happened so far, if he felt satisfied, if it was the right thing to do. I mean, all these questions to himself that are quite relevant. Yeah, I really liked this moment as much as we saw this even in season 4 part 2, when before reaching the scene of the forest, Levi in this final season is arguing with himself. He is asking more questions, while in the previous part of the story, I mean, in the first seasons, he was acting. I mean, always acting for the right thing. He believed that it was the right thing. In the final season, you see that Levi spends more time questioning what he did so far and analyzing his behavior based on uh, the moments, based on um, the the facts that were in front of himself. So I think that yeah, that this moment was pretty necessary too. Yeah. Exactly. He is even asking himself, did we have to reach the ocean only? I mean, our purpose was to go beyond the walls to reach the ocean, because after we reached the basement, we knew that humanity was even beyond the ocean, after the ocean, and what was our purpose? I mean, was that it? I mean, to reach the ocean and to bring these kids, that means Armin, Mikasa, and Eren, to the ocean to confirm that it exists, to confirm that what we believed was correct. I mean, we spent lots of lives to do so, to sacrifice them for this little purpose. And then, of course, he's saying, Chigao, he's saying, no, it's not this the point. Exactly. He's saying, did the lives that were falling apart had to sacrifice themselves for. Wait, just a second, and then I stop the sentence. Yeah. Yeah, tell me, did the lives you gave in sacrifice, that means during the suicide attack of season 3, part 2, exist to crush others' lives underfoot? And he's referring on the rambling for sure. And that's why, by saying, oh, did we do all these to crash other people's lives? Also because our own lives were almost crashed entirely. I mean, did we do this as if we are hypocrite? Because if you are crashing, if you're trying to end my life, then I will do the same later as a revenge, as for incoherence. And in fact, he says, no, we didn't do what we did so far for that reason. We should follow somehow the principle of the Shosahedan, right? No. In fact, the main purpose, one of the main purposes of Chosahedan is not only to save humanity, but this corp was starting the goal of it based on the fact that they had to exterminate the titans, to get rid of all the titans, so human beings, so humanity would have won. And we know this, in fact, even at the beginning of season three, part two, you know that Erwin, on top of the wall, the wall of Shiganshina, is saying, human beings or titans? Who is the one who's going to win? Who's going to survive? So that was the main point of Chosahedan. Then, of course, by doing so, they wanted to let humanity prevail on Titans. And in fact, how can you do so? You do it by trying to save humanity. And I already talked to you about this, but I think that as soon as in season three, part two, they are recognizing that humanity is not only inside the walls as much as they believed before. I mean, throughout the season one, season two, and half part of season three, as soon as they recognized that humanity is also outside the walls, they had a different conception of the Shinzo Sasageo for sure, but even of the Chosa Heidan as a corp. Um, because humanity, if humanity lives even outside of the walls and your goal is to save humanity in general, then you can't refrain yourself from saving it entirely, right? And that's why even the Chosa Heidan is surviving even after going beyond the ocean and going on the other side of the sea. And that's why this little group really trusts the principle of Chosahedan, and at the same time, they don't want to betray those ideals in general, while the Jaegerists preferred to feel to be conservatives because they were saying no, 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 no. When we were doing Shinzo Sasageo, when we were part of the Chosa Hedan, not only we were almost sacrificed, we were almost being sacrificed, but also we don't stand that we have to save humanity even outside the walls. I mean, on the other side of the ocean, our intention was to save humanity inside paradise. I mean, inside the walls. But I prefer to think that this little group of our friends who keeps going on to save humanity, they are the most coherent ones. Because if you say that you wanted to save humanity, you can't make a distinction. You can't make a difference, because in the moment you make a difference, then you don't want to save humanity, but you want to save a part of humanity, the side of humanity that you have chosen. But in that case, this means even if you feel betrayed or disappointed to know that what you were doing so far was just an illusion, and that's why then the Jaegerists they are pretty angry and conservative. On the other side, you should stay true to yourself and to the principles you decided to follow, not based on the situation, but based on your beliefs, based on what she really believe that it's correct. When they joined the Chosahed and even Flock and all the others, they swore, let's say, to fight to save humanity. But in the moment in which Flock and all the others recognized that they were disillusioned, they discovered that humanity was even outside the walls, behaving so wrongly towards aliens. Let's say that they preferred to follow the revengeful path instead of following the principle. They decided to dedicate their hearts. So that dedication of heart was partially correct, because then the incoherence started, and that's why even Levi is saying, but did we do this to reach this point in which humanity is going to collapse? That is something that we didn't want. And then he says, no, actually, what we were always trying to do as a Chosahedan is to let the world be free from titans. That is, let's say, the same principle that Eren was following since the beginning and even now. Because if you think about it, what happens is not only thanks to Mikasa, who is the one who is definitely erasing this power of the Titans, but what was happening in the middle. That means who helped Mikasa to reach that moment in which she could erase the Titans' power from Earth. It was thanks to Eren's sacrifice. So, as you can see, I think that yeah, that was the main purpose, and as a consequence, if you take away all the titans from Earth, you take away even the threatening happening. You take away even the fear of being attacked by these titans, the fear that someone else is going to use that power for meaningful thoughts, for meaningful purposes. And by doing this, you save humanity. You want that humanity prevails on Titans. So everything is connected. But I like that Levi now more than ever is underlying that what they are doing is totally fine. It's coherent with the principles of the Chosahedan since they joined from the beginning. Then the others who changed their mind or they preferred to stay conservative, they were loyal to those words. Not 100%, but let's say 50%, based on their beliefs. Because, as I told you yesterday in the other analysis, convictions, beliefs can let you take a path that sometimes or most of the times shouldn't be considered as coherent. When we follow some beliefs that we really believe them in, we risk to lose objectiveness. And that's the point. That's the main problem of in this story too. When you are sure to follow something, then you will definitely slip and fall. Then you will definitely make mistakes. And these happened even, look, we can go back in time for a second. You can take lots of examples, like even Grisha when he was trying to brainwash Zeke, or when Grisha's father was trying to brainwash him based on the convictions, as much as the Jaegerists are convinced to do the right thing. And then we discover that they are not pretty coherent. Karina, too, was trying to convince Reiner to fight for those principles, but then we see that she feels ashamed of what she has said to her son. So, as you can see, Gabi was convinced that while she was killing Sasha, it was the right thing to do, and then she's redeeming herself because she understood that she was convinced, she was following her beliefs based on incoherence. So, as you can see, this story lets you understand that sometimes You shouldn't listen to what other people think, or you shouldn't listen to these convictions that you have, or keep questioning those convictions that you have, because nobody has a truth, a complete truth, on his or her side. Even Kruger said it. There is not an ultimate truth. Nobody has the power to be 100% true. So these question mark that should stay inside of our soul in order to not feel perfect, not feel complete, because we are not. Yeah, that if you are questioning your convictions and you can doubt about them and not feeling sure about them 100%, then you can be more coherent. And that's what Levi is trying to do here. He is asking himself questions, and then he is giving himself an answer that is coherent. When I joined Chosahedan, my principles were these, so now I have to be enough coherent to perpetrate them in the right way. And that's what they are doing. So I admire them, because if you chose to believe into something, then you have to be loyal to your thoughts enough to follow them, even if this means to change your mind, or to do something that other people don't understand or don't appreciate. Because if this is coherent, then it means that it's the right thing to do. So I definitely like the Levi, Hanji, Mika Sarmin, and all the others, Connie, John, who tried to um, stay loyal to their words, and to give a proper meaning even for all the losses they lost. Because actually, Flock and all the others with the Jaegerists, yes, they want to be conservative, but at the same time, by going against the humanity, they automatically make a mistake for all the lives they have lost before. Even if they consider that attacking the rest of the world is the right thing, because otherwise they keep being attacked. No one has the guarantee that after Eren's death happens, Paradise will never be attacked. And in fact, we see it. The problem is not the other side of the world against the Paradise and vice versa. I think that things keep being repeated, right? So human beings will never understand their mistakes, and we saw it even in the previous analysis yesterday when Mueller said something to his soldiers, and then immediately after they repeated the same mistake. So as I was telling you, it's really hard to change people's minds, or to change their convictions based on what it could be politically correct to do. Um, but at the same time, if you decided to join a corp that says save humanity, you should be sure to follow it. Otherwise, that principle you were following was pretty meaningless. That's why I couldn't stand what the Jaegerists did, just for this reason. And then the fact that they wanted it to be conservative and protect what they were because they were afraid of other attacks, etc., etc. Yeah, that could be probable. Actually, not just probable, it's obvious that other attacks are happening in Paradise. But even a flock with the Jaegerists, they didn't solve anything. I mean, even if they tried to perpetrate their ideals, from both sides, nothing is changing. So when Flock was the commander of the Jaegerists, he he was thinking, or he was saying that, oh, now we change, now with the Jaegerists things will be different, join us. Not really. I mean, even from their side, nothing changed so much. They couldn't solve what they really wanted to solve, not just because of the rumbling and the fact that all the others stand on humanity's side, but they wanted to create in paradise a peaceful life, and they wanted to help paradise being strong against the other attacks even coming in the future. Were they be able to do that? Not really, because okay, later when we will reach the post credits scenes, I will let you understand what I mean specifically. But the more they tried from both sides, the more things didn't change so much, because there will always be people who think differently, and it's really hard to change different minds, opinions, based on what it could be politically correct. There will always be different thoughts, different minds. So, by having different thoughts and different minds, you can't create this idealistic world, this utopistic world, because, yeah, as it's said, it's an utopia. So, you can't expect that all people will agree after Eren's death to make peace and turn the page and everything, and nothing that was happening before really happened, because from now on we erase everything. It's a great principle, it's a great hope to fight for, but is it realistic? Not really. No, until humanity will survive on earth, there will always be people who start other convictions, who try to install these convictions on other people's minds. There will always be battles to determine who's superior, who's inferior. This will of supremacy will never fade away until humanity lives, goes on living. So it's just an utopia, but at the same time, you shouldn't stop fighting for these, even if you know that it sounds quite impossible. Even the fact that you keep going on trying doing this, it's already a great principle to keep it and to move it on from a generation to generation. Then, if this will happen, let's see when, because now more than ever you understand how realistic these stories, and how immortal, I should say, these stories, because until we don't see a proof that this hope um, prevails on catastrophes and tragedies and wars, we will never confirm that this is possible. Let's see. Let's see. Our future is unpredictable. See, was supposed to be, yes, an ideal world. Yes, even Levi said it. Yeah. Yeah. The most important thing is that you don't waste your life doing something meaningless. It's better if you live your life doing what you really believe in, and you live your life trying to do the things you think that they are right to do. If you reach this mental state, I mean, this state of mind, then you think that you didn't waste your life. I think that Erwin in season 3, part 2, before ending his life, felt miserable, and he thought that, sorry, and he thought that he was in that moment wasting all the meaning of his life, that he is reaching the basement. But he didn't say, "Oh, look, I didn't waste my life. I wanted to live my life, dedicating my life to a principle that really mattered, and that I hope that this principle will go on to your generation, Levi, and even to the generations coming after. Now, if he would have said something, if he said something like this, I would have appreciated more. But you see that Erwin is a complete slave for of this dream that he has. But being a slave of a dream is another important subject for this story, because you see that all these characters have a dream, and sometimes they become a slave of it. Now, of course, I can't tell you all their dreams, but maybe one day when we will rewatch Shingeki no Kyojin from the beginning, then we will have the chance, now that we know the entire story as it was, to analyze from the beginning once again this story, and to see that Kenny was completely right. When Kenny is realizing by himself that, look, we always live in order to reach something, and that something makes us slave of that something. So this concept is perfectly coherent with the conversation that Zeke and Armin are having about the meaning of life. So people who say that this story means nothing except for the ending, this is another reason why I'm telling you that you're totally wrong. You can't base your thoughts on the ending, I mean, on the last chapter only. You should try to understand that these stories conveying messages that are quite deep, and they are well explored even in previous seasons. And now that we are reaching the end, everything is connected, everything makes sense. So, did Erwin live his life at the fullest? Hmm. Did could he not did could he appreciate life, as Zeke and Armin are saying? Hmm. I don't believe so. He was focusing too much on that goal. And in fact, if you noticed, all the people who in this story who focused too much on the goal, wasting their time and not paying attention on life in another way, you see that they lost their lives. They completely fail, let's say, because they missed that thing, that piece of the puzzle, to understand that life should be precious. We should feel that life is precious, even for small fragments of it. And except for the goal you want to reach, you don't have to forget to live, and not to survive or struggle to reach the goal. One thing is to live life, and one thing is to survive the life you're living. And I think Erwin was he was desperately trying to survive in order to reach the goal, without, I mean, skipping everything that was around him, because the main thing to follow was just that. And if you live a life like this, then you missed the point. Do you remember even when he lost his arm, for example? Everyone was scared. I mean, everyone was uh, sad because of what happened to him, and he was surrounded by people who were saying, "Oh, Edwin, are you okay?" Even Levi went to visit him and said, "Oh, are you okay? Oh no, you lost your arm after season two. I mean, at the end of season two." And the one thing that he was doing, I mean, Levi was not even living that moment. He was completely spacing out, and he was smiling because he said, "Oh, the discover we made, oh, leads more and more, leads us more and more to the basement." See, everything that he was doing was just focusing on that thing, on that moment in which he would have reached the basement. So his life is completely cursed by this dream, and it's pretty miserable. Yeah. Yes. Yes. And finally, we reached the moment in which Levi says, "I don't have regrets about the choice that I made." Me neither, sincerely. Yeah, let's say Armin has the same will to reach something, but I think that Armin is totally different from Erwin. They are not similar as much as Levi is saying. Um, because of the attitude, first of all, that the two characters had. Um, I mean, they have in common the same enthusiasm. Yes. In fact, Levi is saying to entrust the future to someone with the same look in his eyes you all had. That means not just Erwin, but even the Chosahedan. Yeah, this is correct because Armin's enthusiasm, initial enthusiasm, but even the sort of enthusiasm that he has even in the final season when he keeps being propositive because the only thing he really wants was to communicate with the other side of the world, as much as Erwin would have done probably. Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think that even Erwin, if he reached the basement, he would have been so excited to meet this new world outside the walls, to reach the ocean and to understand what's after the ocean. So, if we talk about the enthusiasm, yes, Armin and Erwin, they have the same thing. I mean, they share this thing in common. But if we talk about the attitude towards life, Armin and Erwin, they are completely different. One, that means Erwin is a completely slave of his dream, and he can't see anything else rather than reaching this goal, in my opinion. He has never shown his life, doing something else. He has always put all his life to reach the goal, to reach the basement. And I told you before, I mean, in the previous minutes, I told you some examples when he cut his arm, when he lost his arm, and he was thinking about the basement even in that moment, or when he lost the comrades. Yes, he was sad, but anyway he kept moving forward in order to reach the basement without even paying attention in that moment of the losses that were increasing. um, Armin has a totally different attitude, in my opinion. uh, and he said these things while he was talking to Zeke. Armin has a perception of life that is completely different. Erwin has never stepped back and think about his life in general. No. And in fact, when Levi is telling him, please forget about your dream and die, for Erwin is a trauma because he's thinking, okay, now that I don't have my dream anymore, yes, the only thing that I will do is dying. But in that moment, probably he should have realized, without the basement, what's the purpose of my life? I'm here living for what? To let you reach the basement, or because I am a human being that can treasure some moments in life except for reaching the basement, but can I dedicate my life to some other things, or I'm always thinking about the basement? Armin was not that person. He was not just thinking about these continents on the other side of the ocean. I mean, he had a different perspective of life that was, look, I remember that moment in which I was running with Mikasa and Eren, and in that moment I felt that it was right to be alive to live that moment. Yes, Erwin had probably the same attitude towards this principle, but only when he was talking about the basement. Always when he was referring to the basement. But it's one thing. How can you dedicate your life to one thing only? That's too stupid. That's ridiculous. That's why, in my opinion, it was good to save Armin, because Armin doesn't have just one goal to reach. Doesn't have the goal to reach the continents outside of the walls, and that's it. Like Eren too had the same problem. Erwin and Eren, they are not so different from each other if you think about it. Armin has different goals. Of course, he wanted to reach the ocean, then he wanted to go and explore the world, then he wanted to try to find a communication between the two sides of the world, then he was treasuring his friends, then he treasured even the love for Annie. He treasured some other fragments of his life. Maybe he treasured even the moments in which he was feeling insecure, because it's thanks to those moments that he could stand up once again and be better than before. He was even challenging himself when he's having these contrast within himself. So Armin doesn't have one purpose only. Armin understands that life is not just reaching one goal, but he understands that life is made of different pieces that then you put them all together and they should make sense. They shouldn't be there shouldn't be wasted pieces. Everything should be connected and create what you called life. But if in your life there is one piece of the puzzle and all around everything is empty, you didn't live your life fully. And when I say to live your life fully, it means that even if you pick that memory or that fragment of your life that really mattered to you, and you keep remembering it as one of the most important moments of your life, it means that you collected things that were precious, that were important, that were building what you will be when you end your life. And if you remember just one thing, it's it was a waste. Your life lived in that way was a complete waste. That's why when Armin is chosen, Levi made the best choice, because of course now otherwise we would have had Erwin confronting Zeke, something improbable. um, we would have had a different epilogue, but I don't think that it should have gone like this. I think that Levi chose the best person to let this story go on. And as you could see, Armin was not effective just because he had his final speech with Eren. He was the good choice, even because of the conversation with Zeke, even because he could convey his feelings to Annie, even because he could save humanity, even because uh, from now on there is a small percentage that this world can change. Um, Wait, let me see if I forgot something. Um, Even because he could comfort Mikasa when there was the right moment to do so, if Erwin survived, all the story would have been different, completely different. And maybe it's also thanks to Armin and his way to stay always next to Mikasa that Mikasa could make the choice, could make her personal choice to reach the moment in which she's killing Eren. So, um, without Armin's plans, probably the story would have been different too. So, um, I don't know how Erwin would have reacted. Probably after reaching the basement, he would have felt as if his life is over because he reached that goal and he has never projected in his mind other goals to reach or other things to do in life. I already told you this 2 days ago when I was talking about Vinland Saga. And in the season one of Vinland Saga, we have the same problem. We have a character like Thorfinn who has always wanted to reach his main goal, that means Asheladdo's death. But after Asheladdo, um, what was his purpose in life? Of course, we will discover it in season two. But that question to Thorfinn was amazing because Thorfinn understands that after Ashelad there should be something else. He should not waste his life running towards these goals that are based on revenge, but he should create his life based on memories, based on precious moments that not only are changing his self, but also can these memories and these things that he can experience can change even other people's lives. So Erwin was a pretty selfish in this because what he really wanted to do was to reach the basement but for his own sake, while Armin, I think that he understood the importance of life so that he can transmit it to others. His thoughts and the precious things that he collected throughout his life not only changed Armin himself, but they were able to change even the people around him. Especially now that we are reaching the end, and Armin has a great goal to spread their story, but to talk, to share with others, to create other memories, uh, undeletable memories. So these memories maybe they will perpetrate through the generations because other people then will talk about their story. Because in the meantime, maybe Armin married Annie. They had a boy or a girl. I mean, they created a family. So as you can see, except for going outside of the walls or reaching the ocean, reaching the exploring the world, Armin had other plans in his life because life has to be considered as a collection of experiences, not just running towards one main goal. You waste the possibility to discover so much about yourself if you make this mistake, then you will feel regretful. And in fact, I think that in the moment in which Levi said this to Erwin, that means go and die, live away your dream, even Erwin understood how miserable his life was, based on one solely, goal. One. And he forgot about everything else. And that was a life wasted. Armin, on the other side, didn't waste his life on one thing only. And of course, life is not made by positive moments only. Life also puts you in front of hardship, suffering, and Armin knows this very, very well. But it's in those moments who you are stepping on something negative that you remember the good ones. Erwin, even when there were losses or moments in which everyone felt hopeless, he couldn't count on other memories. He couldn't count on something that reminded him, ah, okay, something negative happened, but I remember how meaningful is my life, and that's why I shouldn't give up. No, he was always reminding himself, okay, this time I went wrong, but next time we will reach the basement. See, he was too focused on one subject, and he lost millions of others. And that's why I think that his life was a waste. Unfortunately, I should say this. Maybe not a waste because, but anyway, yeah, it was a waste because if he gave Eren and all the others the information of the basement, I would have said, well, anyway, he influenced other people's lives because he knew about the basement. But Eren had the key of the basement. So Erwin completely wasted a huge opportunity to live instead of keep going on surviving. And that's sad. That's pretty sad. But yes, I want to remind this. If we talk about the enthusiasm that both Armin and Erwin had in their eyes um, to have some purposes, yes, that's undeniable. They can be considered the same. Yes. I see. I remind you this the cooperation of these two beautiful women, Annie and Mikasa. In season one, we would have never expected this. But when even now Annie is launching her through the skeleton in order to reach the Okapi, wow. And thanks to this scene, you understand even the length of this skeleton. That is, it seems never ending. That it's also reflecting. I mean, this dimension of the Shubi no Kyojin, as much as not just the height, but even the extension of the skeleton, is directly referring to the 2000 years. I mean, the size of the proportion of these titan is reflecting the proportion of the experiences, negative experiences in 2000 years. But I will talk about these when we reach a specific moment, because I want you to understand what I really believe about this creature getting in contact with a specific person. It could have been Ymir, it could have been another person, etc., etc. So I will talk to you about this later. Now that she knows how to call it, I mean, Mikasa is so cute. Come here, Okapi! While 2 seconds before, she was saying, "What is an Okapi?" I really like this. So great. And then there is a moment in which all the swords of Amikasa they are broken. Even in this case, guys, few minutes before, she is saying, "Koi, otashiotsu come here, I am strong." And she was convinced in that moment that she could have made it, also because she had the purpose to save her friends. So the strength comes out naturally, because when you see your friends that are risking their lives, you can't do anything rather than bring out this strength you have. But here, Mikasa sees that her swords are broken and she also falls. So, in that moment of a fragility of her character, you understand that nothing is certain. That even if you think you're strong, something might happen that can make you believe the contrary. But it depends on the mental strength that you have to not believe that you're not strong anymore, but you keep being strong, so you stand up again and you keep going on fighting. Uh-oh. Look at this. Reminds me a specific scene. Now we see that Mikasa is on the skeleton's body's ground, let's say, because her swords are broken and she um, slipped and fall. If I lose it all, slip and fall. Okay. And she sees that a titan, I think that that's the previous form of the armored titan, is coming to get her. This reminds me season one again, when Mikasa is in front of this titan and then Eren comes to save her. No, in this case, you see almost the same scene, but Annie comes to save her this time. So, as you can see, while in the previous seasons, especially in season one, they were always counting on Eren's power to save them, to be sure to be safe. Now in this moment, she is helped by what in season one was considered the enemy. So, and Eren, who was considered their savior, turned into their enemy. So you see this dualism that makes you think quite a lot. In season one, everyone was convinced that Annie was an enemy, and then their convictions fade away as soon as she could explain many things. And as much as Eren in season one was considered the savior of for them, I mean, the hero who could save everyone with his power, and they had this convention. And and later in the last season, everything is turning upside down. So their conventions are gone, and they discover, from their perspective, something else. That it's the enemy that they have to confront. Interesting, because once again, I wanted to tell you that this final episode, has lots of connections with season one. If you noticed, even in all these scenes that I already analyzed in these previous 3 days, you realize that yeah, there is a huge contrast between the seasons, and it's quite amazing. And she's even, I mean, Annie is even using the move that she used with how can you say? Ah, wait, I needed to find the word, the proper word. The hardening, yes, the hardening that she's using to protect Mikasa. I really like this moment too because it refers even to season one when she was using the same hardening in the scenes of the forest when many comrades died, but even when she was confronting Eren. So now she's using the same hardening, not to protect herself or her team, but she is using the hardening to protect Mikasa. Do you remember even when Mikasa met Annie in the forest and Levi took her away because Mikasa wanted to fight against her, and Levi in that moment took her away and said, "No, Mikasa, this is not the right moment. Let's go." And now you see that they are friends, so that's amazing. Wow. When Mikasa and Connie stay on top of Annie, it reminds me when in previous seasons the characters were sitting, or let's say they were standing on top of Eren, like in season 3, part 2. Wow. And now, before knowing what's going to happen, because the Okapi is going towards Bertolt's Titan's form, there is a moment in which we go somewhere else. We go back to Armin. In my opinion, he made a list of importance that is upside down. If you noticed, I mean, let me go back and check. Let me go back and check because, in my opinion, this list is upside down. Right? Pink, Gian, Annie, Mikasa, Annie. Okay, I like in this moment when you see before he even starts talking to himself, and I already tell you, and I already told you that this contrast, interior contrast, is pretty amazing. Armin has the chance now to confront his biggest enemy, that is the body that doesn't want to move, the body that doesn't react, the fear that let him not move, the fear that letting him become coward. I really like these, especially because at the beginning, before he even yes, before he even starts talking, he is upside down in that scene, and it's like as if he is underwater for a second, trying to confront himself, trying to space out from all of the context that is happening. And he has the chance to say to the inner self what he has never said before. And you see these throughout the seasons, the fact that Armin felt the least important, the one who could have made mistakes, the one who couldn't react, the one who was afraid to cause troubles, the one that everyone has trusted except for himself, because Armin has never trusted himself. Always the others were doing so, but in the case of Armin, he has never praised himself. He has never felt proud of himself. So I think that in this moment, he has the chance to spit out everything that he couldn't say before. And it's the right thing to do, because by reaching the end, all characters that we see now have the chance to say the ultimate things that they have never said before. So I really appreciated this moment in which Armin, instead of being encouraged by others, instead of being praised by others, he is confronting, he is lonely, he is by himself, and he needs to find the answer by himself. Oh, he says that he is a piece of garbage. I mean, referring to the body. Waste of a space. Piece of shit. I hate you. You have just continued to betray me. But look, wow, this is the first time you see Armin completely free to say whatever he wants to his own self. He has never had the chance to do so. You see him shouting, you see him crying, um, and you see him very, very angry. I think that every time we thought about Armin in previous seasons, we thought about the person who's always thinking, the person who's never losing control, the person who knows his defects. I mean, his weak points, but doesn't want to manifest them so much. The person who's always encouraged by others, that he's great, that he knows what to do, that he will be the savior of humanity, etc., etc. Here you see something completely different. Here you see that he can't stand this anymore, and he can't stand the fact that this cage in which he is confined that doesn't respond to his own will. He feels imprisoned as much as Bertold and the previous owners feels for other reasons. And that's why Bertold can understand him even in this. I told you already this before. But this body, this cage that doesn't let him do what he really wants, this impediment that is forcing Armin to stay over there and watch, or be over there by knowing what to do and without being able to reach the will to choose something independently. Yeah, I think that the body for him now is a limitation. It's the trauma that comes back, the trauma that we saw throughout the seasons, in which you see that Armin couldn't move even a finger. And Eren was always there shaking him and said, ah, come on, Armin, let's go. Or when he was bullied, when he was even a young boy, and others had to come and save him because he felt that he was not ready enough to respond. So when he's saying, you are the one who has always betrayed me. Yes, because in all moments of his life, even when he had to confess, let's say, to Annie his feelings, he was, I mean, he was feeling as if he was blocked, that there was something, an impediment, a wall that couldn't let him do anything that he really wanted. So now that he has the chance to spit out all of the thoughts about what he thinks, and the desperation, the frustration that you can feel from this scene is quite relevant. I really like it. Yes, that's the second life we were given because he was chosen by Levi. The hopes pinned on us, our responsibilities. See, Armin not only feels these towards his body, but he always feels um, as if he has to pay a debt for the fact that he was saved and for all the responsibilities that he has because everyone is counting on him. There is this pressure on his shoulders because of what he has to do, because he has to find the right way to finish all these, because now he is even a commander. So the responsibilities are increasing. Before being a commander, he was the one who had to follow Hanji and all the others, but at the same time, everyone was counting on Armin because they knew his ability to create plans, to find something strategically speaking that was very well done, very well planned. So Armin has always been the character where that everyone had expectations on. And these expectations were making him feel so heavy um, that he couldn't even think for himself because he was always busy, let's say, to comfort others, to create plans, to make sure that nothing went wrong, to become a commander, to prove himself that he could make it, even if he thought that he couldn't. So these um, sensitiveness that connects even to fragility, it's quite amazing. And the fact that he's even crying, looking at his body, the pain that he felt for always have been a burden to others in some cases, like when he was a young boy, um, or when he joined the Chosahedan, but he felt terribly scared that he couldn't even move his body. So he felt as if he was good for nothing. And he felt as if, yeah, he was a burden to others instead of being the salvation or instead of being someone who could help others. He always felt helped. But I think that Armin here in this moment is not objective enough. He is just releasing his emotions once for all, finally. And I think that in order to reach this moment in which he's spitting out everything that he really thinks, he needed the experiences before reaching this moment. So this is quite effective as a scene. All that, and you haven't even begun to repay any of it. Look, in this moment, Armin reminds me Eren. Absolutely. He reminds me Eren in the previous seasons because do you remember Eren has always said, especially at the beginning, I can't change anything. I am a good for nothing. The only thing I could do is to create other problems, etc., etc. So in this case, Eren and Armin are quite similar from different perspectives, but they both thought that they couldn't change anything, that they couldn't learn the lesson to be different, that everything tragic had to happen in order for them to be able to react. And yeah, they are quite similar in these. Even if Eren has a totally different way of approaching life, or to um, go on with his plans, etc., etc., he's pretty convinced. On the other side, Armin is really fragile, and he doesn't know if he's doing the right thing, and he always feels, yeah, as when he's talking to Zeke, he's saying that he was the last one to reach the tree. But you know, the last people are always the first. That's what Christian religion says. So that's what happened actually. But so that's why I wanted to underline these. I think that Armin, that he's crying and he's saying that he can't change anything, that he's still a burden for everyone, and especially the fact that this body can't respond to his real will makes him feel so limited, as if, yes, that wall was not broken yet completely. And he feels, yes, as I told you, he feels as if he has to pay a debt because he was chosen. So now he has to demonstrate that he is better than Erwin, that might have been even better. He has always considered, I mean, Armin has always considered Erwin better than him, a better choice. In fact, when he woke up, he heard that he was chosen. He said, "No, guys, you did the wrong choice. I'm not good enough." So he was the first one not believing in himself, and that's why I think that this trauma went on and on and on and on. Especially now that he can't even stop his best friend. He feels useless because while everyone hopes that he can reach Eren and he can talk to Eren and he can let him change his mind, he knows now that he is englobed by this titan, that he can't go out and try to rescue his friends, and he's always a burden to others. That's his perception, okay? Wow, Armin that is showing his suffering in this way is priceless. I would have never expected to see his fragility portrayed so neatly like this. Yeah. Oh, finally, we are reaching the thumbnail. Okay, so here we are seeing what the rumbling is doing, the effects of the rumbling. So I wanted to underline a specific scene, not just the baby scene, but even another one, because it's giving me the vibes of what I saw already in other pictures in the real world, of course. But let's go step by step. Now I enlarge the screen for me to see this scene as best as I can. Wow, I mean, even it is a perspective to see people running, okay, people running down here, and these colossal titans in the background that you see the difference of size, to understand how little human beings are, as if they are nothing compared to these monumental colossal titans marching without any sort of shame, without controlling themselves, because they are controlled by Eren, but the will of Eren that is approaching all these human beings that they are impotent because they can't do anything rather than receive these sort of punishment, because that's what it is for Eren. It's a punishment, as if it's a, yes, I don't want to say it in a way that you can misunderstand, but it's like as if it's a punishment from God, and human beings can't do anything against it. This power that is too much, even for Eren, who is a human being, but we will talk about this later when we reach a certain scene. But this immense and destroying power that is affecting humanity, and humanity doesn't have anything else to do rather than accept it, because they can't have a power like this. And this reminds me for a second, even Frida, when she was saying, we can't do, okay, this is a completely different context, but just to let you understand what I mean. When Frida was saying, oh, we can't do anything else rather than accept this punishment. Do you remember? And this is totally the contrary, because in that scene, Frida was talking about the punishment that the Eldians had to feel for their sins. So even if they were attacked by Marley and from the rest of the world, they should have stayed over there doing nothing and accept this punishment, without being able to do anything else, even if she had the power of the founding titan by being a royal bloodline. But in this case, everything is turning upside down, and you see Eren, who is punished, the other side of the world, and these people are running. That they are losing their lives, and they run because they think that by running they can survive. That is the thing that even between Armin and Zeke they are discussing now, the fact that life keeps wanting to go on living, wants to try to find a way to survive. Okay. And all these people who already know, let's say, that they will die somehow, but even if they know this, they keep trying, running away from these colossal titans. But anyway, now it's Eren from that side, I mean, from a paradise, sending the punishment to the world that is 10 times more powerful than what Frida said in that scene in season 4, part 2. But the way in which everything is exchanged here, and the power, the size of this power that is becoming even more bigger and bigger compared to the suffering that Eren believes that Paradise felt for all these years. He is converting this suffering, this unfairness, this injustice into this wave of a colossal titan that is approaching human beings, and it's destroying them without even listening. Yes, in the trailer, yes, I noticed now that I was making a mistake, because during the trailer, I thought that the colossal titan you see without eyes, I mean, as if the eyes were closed. I was wrong in this, because actually the eye of the colossal titan is open, but it's not completely open. Okay, as if okay, I want to go on for years. Wow, you see all these people. You see how tiny they are compared to the land, compared to the colossal titan, as if they are ants crushed by something bigger than in the real world. I mean, in our world, it's like as if the ant is uh, moving on the ground, we see an ant and we try to stop it, right? Or we see the difference of how little that ant, how meaningless it seems for us, that we look from up here and we know that we are bigger, that we have a different strength, a different weight, even. So I like these moment in which you see all these people running, but they are so tiny compared to the vast land that you see. And even in this case, the tones of colors speaks for itself, because here the tones of colors are so warm, and it refers even to the scene that we see after when Eren and Armin are talking together. But these land that is turning red, that depicts not just the hell on earth that is represented pretty well, but even the blood that is spreaded because of the march of the colossal titan. So wow, I think yes, I want to say this once again: the fact that in the anime you can put the colors and you are able to um, show things differently, even through colors, to through colors that connect to symbols and whatsoever. Just for this reason, I prefer anime instead of manga. And then when we will analyze the manga, I will see. I will tell you what I think. But yeah, wow. And there is these moment in which you see this cliff, and the ocean is below this cliff, but the people who desperately try to run and they see that they can't run anymore, that or they jump or they are killed. Wow, I mean, the moment in which they realize that there is no escape, I have never felt like this in my life, sincerely. I mean, I've never felt the moment in which I experienced a catastrophical tragedy or something like a war, and I feel lucky for this. But I have never experienced the feeling that people feel when they know that there is no more escape. There is no way to escape anywhere else. There is no turning back. And you know that in both cases, probably you will die. Yeah, this is what's happening here to all these people who are trying desperately to run away. And at a certain point, they reach the cliff. And once they reach that cliff, they notice that they are gone already, that everything is ending for them in front of their eyes, in such a way that they can't say, oh, please stop, or let's talk about it, or let's find an agreement. Okay, I understood my mistakes. Can I repay for them, etc.? No, because these colossal titans are like a wall that is approaching more and more. These colossal titans don't want to hear, not just because they are controlled by Eren, but even because Eren, who's listening, really, will not want to hear anything. The march has to go on because of his convictions, because of his beliefs, that what he is doing is totally right, and it has to be done. Ecco, yes, see, now we reached the moment in which you see this colossal titan with his eye almost closed, not completely closed, almost closed. Um, I open a little bracket by telling you that if you remember, we saw that at the end of uh, the episode, when Mikasa is killing Eren, Eren has his eyes closed. I don't know. Yes, no, this doesn't reflect the fact that all the colossal titans have eyes closed. But when I saw this colossal titan and the people running away, as if the colossal titan reflects the fact that he doesn't want to see, doesn't want to hear what's happening, because the only thing that Eren knows is that he is doing the right thing, that there's no way that he will change his mind. So even if there are people screaming, he doesn't care. He wants to move forward. Even if there are people risking their lives, no matter if it's right or not, he thinks that it's the right thing to do. So this colossal titan that has these eye almost closed, it's like as if who cares? Let me move forward. And that's even more evilish, devilish, sorry, and yes, evil to think a human being that uses this power, and this power is bigger than what he is, that let him, first of all, lose control and lose humanity too. Absolutely. So I like to see these moment in which these titans are marching, that are representing the will of Eren. And some of these titans have the eyes almost closed, because no matter what you say, I will move forward. No matter what you think, I'll move forward. No matter if you're good, bad, you are on the other side of the world. And to me, Eren, this other side of the world has to be destroyed, finished. So I don't care. That's what I felt when I saw this Titan with the eye almost closed, because the people are screaming, the people are run, the people are desperate, there are babies involved. Anyway, they run, and the colossal titan are marching. Oh yes, okay. So let me, for a second, let me see one more time. For a second, sorry that I interrupted once again, but I wanted to praise the music. The music in this moment is the perfect choice, because once again, there's no need to talk. These images, this scene speaks for itself. You don't need someone like a narration who's talking in the background. The only thing you hear is the scream of people who are almost ending their lives, without a turning back, without a possibility to find a solution. And the only thing that it's possible here is to put the music, a solemn music that confirms you that it's a tragical moment now to watch. You see people crying in front of the colossal titans approaching, because some of them they are running, and some others they just look speechless at this vision, at the they look death in front of them, telling them, now I'm gonna get your life. That is exactly what Eren said when Eren said, if you take away my freedom, I will take your freedom away too. I mean, if you try to contrast my freedom, then be sure that I'll take your life, because you stepped in a way. You stepped in the middle of what I was trying to do, and you stole my freedom, so now I'm stealing yours. The perfect way to summarize revenge for sure, but even a pure hatred. Mm. But the fact that you see in the previous scene people are running desperately, and in the scene after you see even people who look up crying, and they don't even want to run anymore, because they feel that even if they run, they will be caught anyway. And this resignation that is pretty miserable to watch. Some people gave up. and others who keep running don't give up. There is a different way of reacting when you see a tragedy in front of your eyes. There are people who cry, there are people who prefer to run, there are people who try to do something else. There are even people who stand, they understand how meaningless they are on earth, how little they can be compared to something else that is definitely bigger and can crush them away. So I think there are some people, even in this scene, who might think we felt so powerful judging someone else. We Marlians, or we from the other side of the world, we felt so powerful judging other people and feel superior than other people. We felt as if we could decide for other people's lives. And look what's coming back to us, the fact that we understand how powerless we are at the end of the day, how something even bigger than us can exist and can judge our life, can destroy our life 10 times more than what we did. I don't want to say, yeah, that this is the karma principle. That means you do something wrong and then you have to expect that this wrong thing comes back to you. Maybe double time stronger. But yeah, it could sound like this. When human beings feel that they can have the right to rule on others, they forget that they are human beings, and they have the same rights, the same possibilities, the same strength, that no one is entitled to decide about what to do with others. No one is entitled to feel superior than others. And this resignation that you see, probably, yes, those are two people in front of the colossal titans were thinking, ah, look at that. I got it. But now, even if I got it, it's too late. There is no way that I can repay my mistake. I could have thought about it earlier, but when I do something mean, before doing something mean, we should think, is it something mean what I'm doing? But if it's yes, we shouldn't do it, of course. But if you are forced to be convinced of what you think, then it's hard to think that you're doing mean things. But I like these scenes. Look, wow, they are so powerful. Let me go ahead. Oh, and then the people who are praying in front of the Tori that we see later. Okay, so finally, here in Shingeki no Kyojin, you see people praying. If you noticed, in Shingeki no Kyojin, you don't necessarily talk about God. There are two moments. One is this one when people are praying, and one is when Onyankopon is replying to Armin talking about God. But usually in Shingeki no Kyojin, they are not talking about God. So I was really impressed to see people praying in front of the Tori, because not only it makes you understand that people need comfort in that moment, that people hope, they ask God's help, but from some other points of view, If I connect myself with what I told you a few seconds ago, these, for the other side of the world, can be seen even as a God punishment for everything they did. And even in the Bible, if you have read it, that sometimes God Himself is punishing human beings, especially when we are talking about the 10th punishments of God throughout the Moses period. I mean, the Moses arc in the Bible. But even in this case, to see people praying, it's like as if people ask God to stop all these or to redeem themselves before dying. Because if you redeem yourself before dying, you are definitely safe. I mean, if you made lots of mistakes throughout your life and then you admit at the end that you made them, at least in the Christian religion, you feel relieved. You feel as if you can be forgiven by God. So these people praying in front of the Tori, are they praying for their soul to rest in peace and be relieved from the mistakes they made? Or they are praying to God to help them, to save them, to survive? If we connect ourselves with the Armin and the Zix conversation, these could make sense because all life, all living things, they hope to survive, they struggle to survive. But this is pretty emotional to see these two people, a woman and a man, with this position. I mean, they are praying and they are praying in front of a sunset. Look, I want to open another little bracket because probably many people don't know this. But in Japan, you shouldn't go to a temple when it's late afternoon or when it's, um, let's say, evening. The reason why is that you should pray God from morning till late afternoon, for example, 4 or 5 p.m., because then the temples close. So you can't go inside the temple, or if you can, it would be better if you don't go, because the darkness doesn't correspond to the light of God. Even if God should listen to you any time, and at the same time, this darkness can refer even to malevolent energy that can come next to you, basically because of darkness. But these two people who are praying in front of the Tori, in front of them, they see like a sunset. They see all these warm color of tones of colors that are typical of a sunset. That means even their end. But I like these small details that you can capture here. Um, the how can I say, these are two people praying in front of a Tori. They can symbolize both the resignation, as much as I said, because they are not running away. They prefer to stay over there and face what God chose for them, let's say. But even the fact that this resignation means, look, a population, maybe these two people are innocent. I mean, they have never condemned the paradise or whatever. But let's say when you on the other side of the world feel yourself powerful more than others, look at now. Are we powerful to defeat all this that is approaching us? No. So that's the moment of recognition of the fact that human beings can think that they are powerful, that they can be stronger than others, others, that they can impose their ideas on others, that they can change the world based on their beliefs, but till a certain point. Because if you check how small we are compared to the world itself, compared to the universe that is ruling on this story that it's already written, makes you understand that what's on top of all these people is even stronger. Then I'm not talking about Eren. I'm talking about, or not even the Shubino Kyojin. I'm talking about the story that is already written. That it's more powerful than anything else. The Titan's power that now seems so powerless in front of everything that is happening, as if the destiny wanted to punish them for the fact that they used this Titan power in the wrong way to judge a population, to confine a population, them to their destiny. That means to be ended. That doesn't excuse absolutely the choice of Eren to erase 80% of the population of the world. Let's say if Zeke, thanks to Zeke, the rumbling would have not been stopped, Eren he would have erased everything. Let's say, but yeah, this thing that is ruling on top of their story to make in a certain way, that's the most powerful thing. Not the human beings who transform into titans, not the people who are forcing others to join war to protect them using the titan's power, not the people who are tricked by a power that makes you think you will become stronger, but at the end of the day, you'll become even more miserable than before. So, this is like a final judgment. And hi, Hector, no, that's the final judgment that no one else can escape from. And these scenes, one after the other one, can show you how limitful we are, how we can't go beyond the thinking that we can be something that we can pretend to be something that we can't be. It's just an illusion. And even for Eren to detain all this great power to be able to destroy the world, it's another illusion because he was. And at the same time, he believed that nobody could stop him, but he was stopped. So even these sure of saying, "Oh yes, nobody can stop me. If you try to stop me, I will take your life." But anyway, Armin, Armin talked to Zeke, so Zeke stopped the rumbling because he was there ready to see his head cut off. But Eren, you said that someone who stops your freedom has to expect that his freedom will be taken away from you. Why didn't you take Armin's life if you really believe so? Why you didn't take Armin's freedom away? See the incoherence because if this regards his best friend, they can try to stop him. Other people they can't. See, this already tells you the confusion that later is explained in the confusion of not understanding what to do. This power that is confusing him, but it's also uh, let him lose control on anything, on principles, on his own convictions, because then he demonstrates that he is incoherent. when the power is too big for you, you can't control it. He or she or it is controlling you. On the contrary, so while maybe Eren thought that he could control all this power, then he realized that he was completely controlled by it. And even the story itself, as it's written, that can't be modified, made you understand that Eren was not so powerful. Because if he was powerful enough, he could have modified the story. But he said it multiple times. I tried to modify the story, but I couldn't change the course of the events. So, as you can see, while people thought, oh, Eren now is invincible, Eren can control everything. Even if, listen to this, he thought that he could influence Grisha and that he could control everything. He thought that he could control Ruga with all these stories. He could even deceive Zeke. Do you remember? No, I let you think powerful, but in this case, you understand that I am controlling you, etc., etc., etc. Even Eren didn't understand that he was controlled by something more powerful. That is the path of this story that can't be changed. So the fact that he is not understanding that he was also controlled makes him so superficial, so stupid, and so incoherent. That's why, okay, later when we will reach that dialogue between Armin and Eren, I will tell you my thoughts, but that's pretty coherent because Eren was not a supernatural figure. Eren was just a container of a power, and the power could control the container that was doing some other things. And at the same time, Eren forgot that he is just a human being. So when he is saying that he is stupid, that doesn't mean that he will not stop doing what he's doing. Because if Zeke didn't stop the rumbling, he would have gone on, surely. But that doesn't exclude the fact that he's admitting that he is pretty stupid, because he has always been. In all his actions, pretending to be better than others, pretending to choose for others, pretending to know the truth. I think even Eren didn't see everything from his visions from the future. So he was judging his father because he couldn't move forward. But at the end of the day, he also doesn't realize that something that is ruling on the story let him move forward till a certain point. Otherwise, if that thing that ruled on the story didn't want him to go on, he would have stopped him. And actually, he was stopped. While he was saying that no one can stop him moving forward, he was stopped. So it's not true that nobody can stop him, or that he will steal the freedom from others who are trying to steal his freedom of moving forward. Because Armin did it, but he didn't take Armin's life because he didn't take Mikasa's life because she tried to stop him, or John's life or Connie's life. Why? Because they are the best friends or the lover. It's incoherent. But many characters in this story can be considered incoherent. So he's not different from the others. Absolutely. Not at all. That's why he is like the others. He has limits like the others. He's a human. Okay, but I will talk about these later on more and more. So this is just an anticipation. See, even you see even other people praying, people from other cultures, because the beautiful thing of this story is that while at the beginning you thought that there were human beings versus titans, then you understand that there are human beings versus other human beings. You understand that there is not, while you thought at the beginning, aliens versus Marlian, and that's it. You understood that there are aliens, Marlians, and the rest of the world. So you see this thing extending the more you go on with the story. And in fact, even in this case, while they are praying, you don't see people who might seem Buddhist, but you see even other cultures, maybe Hindu, maybe Muslims. I mean, you see different cultures that they are wishing for the same thing. And actually, it should be like this. I mean, while the religions are all different, what human beings want is the same. That is survive. That is going on living. So no matter the religion you are following, the real instinct of human beings, and that's why you see all different cultures praying, is the same. That is go on living. Or redeem myself from the mistakes I made before I die, because that's the only way that I can rest in peace. If I keep my soul here and the soul keeps being stuck, it's because something was unsolved. And if I was part of this game in which I was condemning these people from paradise, considering them demons, and I can't say sorry for the way I was thinking, in time, my soul will be stuck here. My soul will be stuck here on this hell on earth. So there are different ways of thinking. Yes, I'm reaching. Yes, I'm reaching that scene of the baby. Yes. So stay tuned and keep on watching. Today I will do it for sure. But did you understand what I mean? All human beings, they fight for the same thing. That is to be able to go on living. That it's what they say, Armin and Zeke later. The meaning of life. I mean, why life wants to go on living? Because life is not death, because they are antithetical, because they are opposite. Life can't be death and death can't be life. So life for sure keeps wanting to go on living, as much as death is promoting death. But you see, especially in this last episode, everyone who is struggling to go on living, because they are living things, because they are human beings. No matter if we are talking about Eren and his friends, but even Annie's father, even Mueller, um, even the owners of the Titans, the previous owners, that they want to rest in peace first, but then to be able to control their feelings and thoughts. Let's talk about all these people running. Let's talk about these people praying. Let's talk about Levi, who keeps wanting to go on living until he reaches his mission, but even after, we see. So human beings have this instinct to survive, to perpetrate their generations, to do something to be able to be remembered even after their death. We don't like to be forgotten, sincerely. Because even if we know the limit of our life, we always hope that someone will remember about us, that someone will remember who we were, and we don't want that our memory will be erased. That's why there are graveyards. That's why there are pictures of dear people who died that we still treasure. That's why we wanted to keep hearing the voices of the people who died that we really cared. We want to spread their story to the future. That's what happens even in real life. When a war ends, we want to go to meet these people who survive, to hear their story, to learn something about it. Then, if you ask me if people keep repeating the mistakes, yes, they do. But who are the people who repeat the same mistakes, in your opinion? Common people or people who govern on people? Think about the wars that we live right now. If it was for me, nothing of this would have happened. But there are other people who are choosing for us. So that's why most of the times things keep being repeated. I don't think if you ask common people if they want wars that we are living now, if they are happy that they perpetrate the wars like these. So, by the way, even when the Second World War ended, the First World War ended, and we had our grandpa, our grandma, or the great grandpa, great grandma, we like to hear their stories. We like to understand how it was at that time. And it's pretty common. And once we know these stories, we want them. I mean, we want the stories, but even the people who lived those stories to survive through time. And that's why when they survive through time, they become immortal, right? Until we keep remembering these people and these stories, they all become immortal, and we even understand the meaning of our lives. So that's connecting once again with what Armin is telling Zik. The meaning of our life is to reach the goal, or to reach the goal by knowing that in the meantime, we didn't waste our life to reach the goal. So I think that this story is amazing. Even see, now I'm checking some other details. Even these people who are praying right now, and they have the turban here on top of their head. Um, you see in front of them these little lights floating in the air. That of course means the fire, that it's going to burn them alive because of the steam that the colossal titans are producing. They face their destiny, and they face it being aware of the fact that they can't do anything against it. But it's so good that they keep praying because they never lose hope. That is another great message for this story. Never lose hope that everything can change, that something can be different. Never lose the trust in yourself that you can try to change something. Never lose hope that while praying, probably the rumbling will stop. Things that is happening actually, and we will analyze even later some scenes. But never lose hope because until you have hope, that doesn't mean that what you hope will happen, but that hope that keeps going on living, keeps you going on living, that gives you that small percentage of say of saying, okay, I can still fight for something, I can still be able to go on living until all the hope is gone. And then Wow, even the animals running away. Because you needed to remember that here we are not talking about the human beings only. Here we are talking about the living things. So it can be human beings, it can be animals, and you see the giraffes running away. It can be even trees, plants. They are all living things, and they all, in different ways, struggle to survive. So we can't pay attention on human beings only. We, if we do this, we are too selfish. Okay, human beings are selfish, but with these scenes, they show you that you shouldn't pay attention on you as a human being only. Otherwise, you are too superficial. You don't need to forget that you're not the only guest on this earth. I mean, you're not the only one who's living on this earth. There are other living things that they deserve the same importance. And that's why you see not just, yes, the importance of the trees in this story, the importance of even animals, but we will talk about it later, right? I like the fact that these giraffes are running on the opposite side, as much as you definitely see that there is a sunset in that moment that's representing for sure the end of humanity that is approaching them. The end not only of humanity, but the end of the world, because Eren wanted to erase everything. It doesn't matter if human beings, no, he wanted to erase, to create a tabula rasa, to create something flat that doesn't mean anything, something equal, let's say, flat. Ah, you see, yes, very good. You see, even these colossal titans who are marching in winter. I mean, when it's snowing, based on the continent, they are marching on lava. They are marching exactly on the things that Eren wanted to see with his eyes. There are these continents made of lava, the continent made of ice. I mean, all the things that Eren hoped to see. But now those continents are no, they don't have the same importance as before for him, because he understood that instead of having these continents and they were the only human beings on earth, he found out that outside the walls and on the other side of the oceans, there are other people. People who liked to confine them into walls and not giving them the possibility to enjoy the world at the same time as they could. And the Titan that keeps his eye closed, because no matter what's going on, Eren will move forward. No matter who these colossal Titans are going to crash down, he will move forward. Oh, this is a beautiful scene. When you see these colossal Titans approaching the Tori. Yes, during the reaction, I told you that this scene reminded me of something in particular. And you see that in front of these Tori, there are still people over there praying without even one looking at what's happening, what's coming, because they keep praying to make sure that what they are doing is more important than the fact of being erased from earth, because if you keep going on praying, that's what makes your soul noble. But the scene that I wanted to underline is these colossal titans that are approaching the Tori, because if in the reaction video I said that it reminds me of something, yes, It reminds me of um, the moment in which the atomic bomb approached Nagasaki. And if you search online, you would definitely see that in one circumstance, I mean, after the atomic bomb exploded, the one and only thing that remained intact, that means that was not broken, that didn't disappear, that didn't collapse, is the Tori. I will try to find the picture if I will finish analyzing this scene because it's pretty important. But yeah, that Tori that stands in front of these colossal titans, in front of this tragedy that it's going to erase the world, the world that is lived by these people who keep being praying over there. That's wow, wow. And see, in this scene, they keep showing you this colossal titan with the eyes closed because it's like as if Eren doesn't want to see anything, doesn't care of what he's going to trample, doesn't want to see what's going on and who's going to destroy because to him, the purpose is one, to erase everything. Or, or, I have another option. The eye that is partially closed, it's the power who doesn't want to show Eren what he's really doing. Because this reminds me exactly of that scene in which he's opening his arms and he's saying, "This is a freedom." But he is just looking in front of his eyes where the sky is blue, that everything is perfect and clean, and he's not paying attention on the steam and what's under the steam that it's produced by the colossal titans, that is pure destruction. So is it Eren who is who keeps his eyes closed on purpose because he doesn't want to see what's going on, or because he definitely doesn't care of it, because his purpose to exterminate everyone is more important than the lives that are being lost, or it's the power who's controlling Eren, who is deceiving Eren by not showing him what he's really doing, making him believing that he's not doing something wrong. I mean, he is just reaching freedom. So maybe this power wants Eren to be concentrated on the purpose without even noticing for real the damages that he is making. Think about it. And that's why these eyes keep of the colossal titan closed keep going on repeating in this scene. Wow. Okay, and now we reached the scene of the thumbnail. We see this gray tone of color. Okay, and gray usually means something apathic, something that is not black, not white, but it's something. Um, how can I describe it? Something desolate. Yes, something desolate. Something that can't tell you anything because it's still, it's one tone of color. It's not having any sort of different possibility, let's say. Something, yeah, as a pure desolation, okay? And it's like as if in this scene, even the world stops. It's like as if this gray tone of color tells you, there's nothing else to do. Everything is decided. Everything is completely gone. And I like this contrast. The moment in which you see the end of humanity portrayed in front of your eyes, as if nothing else can change, as if everyone becomes the same, because there is nothing that can change anything. And this scenario in which you see that people are that people are condemned forever. So that means the loss of humanity, but even the end of humanity. But first of all, I wanted to praise Kajiyuki's baby's voice because it was pretty effective here. But at the same time, while before you could hear the rumbling, the screaming of people asking for help, asking to survive, but mostly you could hear the rumbling, the rumble of these colossal titans marching through the world, and these rumble that was echoing through the world, that was more powerful than the scream of a people that you could hear. This rumble that was terrifying, that was shaking the world. Now you hear this baby's voice crying that seems to be even more powerful than the rumbling itself. And this baby, that while all these human beings are not colored because they are gray, the baby is colored. Is it a symbol of hope? While humanity seems to have lost the hope, the one percentage of hope that still keeps going on in all people's heart, the new generation that maybe can change everything, this small hope that keeps going on giving us the hope that things can change, this baby that can symbolize the hope for the future, the thing that we shouldn't lose, that is hope, while all of the others seem condemned. These previous generations that have these gray tone of color, that means the people who have already made lots of mistakes, the people who had the chance to change things but they couldn't, and this baby that it's still colored because it's innocent, the innocence that can triumph and that can try again, while the previous generations, they received already, they're condemned, they received this gray color that is you could have tried, but you couldn't do anything. This innocence that can still have a chance, and the experience of the previous generations that confirmed that nothing was changing, that suffering was perpetrated. But I don't know if you noticed, but this baby, this woman, and this baby, who the woman who's trying to let this baby survive desperately, even by losing her life, who cares? The most important thing is that my baby will survive. That is the meaning of life. Life that keeps wanting to go ahead, multiplying itself. But if you notice, yes, this woman is the same woman, and I went back to watch it already, is the same woman who was pregnant in the previous episode when Eren was walking and he was already thinking what my mother will think about it. He said, I will exterminate all these people. And he saw a pregnant woman. Do you remember? That woman now gave birth, and that baby who's surviving is the baby that was in the belly of that woman in that moment. By the way, this woman doesn't lose hope, doesn't lose courage, and she's perfectly aware of the fact that even if her life will be lost, her baby needs to survive. Who cares about my life? This new life matters more than mine because I couldn't do what maybe this baby can do. That means to try to save humanity in the future, to try to be different than what we are. This hope that humanity can go ahead after this extermination and then nothing will be over completely, it's amazing. Of course, I wanted to make the same reference that everyone did, not only online, but even by watching the episode. If you watched Schindler's List, there is this great movie about the Shoah, about the Second World War, and the crimes that people, human beings, committed inside the lagers, inside these confinements. This movie, Schindler's List, was quoted not by me only, but by many people online that refer to the same. I mean, I think that Mappa Studio took the same colors to represent the same exact things. That is, the loss of humanity, the way in which humanity could have ended by doing what was done during the Second World War to humanity. But in Schindler's List, you see this girl wearing a red dress, while all the others were depicted gray. And this young girl that is representing the future, the hope that nothing has to be the same in the future, but also the fact that we know that future generations can change, can try to change the world for better. And the hope that we put in these new generations has to be colored by something, needs a color, needs a color like a red that is meaning love, that means passion, that means the fact that you're still alive, that you didn't lose humanity, because red represents even heart. And until these new generations will come, and we will keep trying by surviving, by multiplying, it's like as if we give us another chance of trying, another chance to change things and make them feel better. This comparison is quite relevant because even if in that movie we are talking about a specific population that was hanged, that was punished, that was tortured, and whatever, here in Shingeki no Kyojin, we are talking about humanity in general. And this baby that keeps surviving. First of all, I want to tell you another thing that now doesn't matter anything with the Schindler's List. But did you notice that he is surrounded, I mean, he's a baby, he is surrounded by a red cloth. The person who's going to stop Eren has around her neck a red scarf. So, red here is is not important just because of um, humanity that needs to survive, etc., etc., but even the courage to survive, the courage of your actions. So, like Mikasa, when she's wrapping the scarf around her neck, ready to do what she has to do, in that moment, Mikasa is pretty courageous. So, if you wanted to change the world for better, you have to be courageous. You don't have to think of things and then do nothing. You have to be courageous enough to stand up and do things. So this baby represents even the courage to survive thanks to other people's sacrifices, unfortunately. But it's better to let this baby move on and be sure that he can represent what the previous generations couldn't represent. And all these previous generations are putting faith in this baby that he will be able to change the world, that he will be able to get in touch with other people and spread this story. He needs to survive to be the one or one of the others who could survive to spread this story, because nothing is done in vain. So everything that was done here shouldn't be in vain, should be perpetrated, should be spreaded through generations. And this baby crying is making me feel disturbed. Yes, I felt that this scene was pretty disturbing, but at the same time, it's also a good message, because we shouldn't condemn the new generations. We shouldn't think that they are so different from us, that means that they are something bad just because they are different from us. We should praise them for being different than us, because if they are different, for sure it means that the world in their hands can be different. If they were same as what we were or what we are, then the problem is that probably there is the chance for them to be the same as what we are. And it's not something good, because if they are the same as what we are, they are going to repeat the same mistakes. By being different, they can do something different, and they can try to change the world. But the fact that you see how this mother wants to let this baby survive and all the others are cooperating, this is already a good sign. They are cooperating to let this baby survive. And in this case, you understand how they understand that now their lives is not important, because their life is almost going to end, and what they have tried was not good. They tried, they already had their chances to try. So now it's time to give this baby the chance to try. And exactly, yes, the artistic reference to Schindler's List, yes. But yeah, this moment is disturbing, but it shows you that these people who know that they are ending their lives, they put not only faith to this baby, but by cooperating to save him, they put in this baby even all the humanity to contrast this tragedy of the moment. It's like as if the more they move the baby like this, the more by touching this baby, they are put all the strength, all the hopes, all the humanity that they have in this small touch reached by the baby. And it's, oof, amazing. And not only this a way to communicate through eyes in a moment in which you can't talk because you're too desperate. You can't talk when you know that a tragedy is appearing in front of us, in front of you. You are just trying to do things. You don't even talk anymore. So these eyes of these people who keep this baby and they want him to survive, it's like a chain of humanity that stands that humanity is not gone completely from this world, that humanity will stay, will stand up again, and will try again to defeat the problems of the world. Will they be able to solve them? This is another question. The fact that they keep trying, it um, it defines the strength of humanity. It doesn't matter the result. The most important thing is to try. And this woman that is going down the cliff knowing that she will die, knowing that she will never be able to see her son growing up, that is more or less what Carla felt too, sincerely. Uh, but this attachment to that baby, that even if that goes on beyond death, right? This motherly instinct that prevents her from living, but gives the chance to have multiplied herself by procreating and put all of her love into this baby that will go on living somehow. Maybe, I hope. And this cry that represents suffering, the suffering that these people are suffering right now. But it's not important to hear their voices because this new voice, who is not even understanding what's going on because he is too little, is also the voice of all these people losing their lives. And this crying that is echoing throughout this scene is not only the beginning of a new life, because you know that when you are born the first thing you do is crying, okay, as if we by being born we suffer already. It's like as if our destiny is marked from the beginning, because when we are born we cry, right? And it's like as if yes, religiously speaking they say, oh, you are marked because you are already seen, right? But if you see it in a different way, it's like as if we can't run away from suffering in our life because we will suffer anyway in different ways, but we will suffer, and we suffer from the beginning. So we you can think it in a religiously way or in a philosophical way, but you are born to suffer. There are many literature men, even in the Italian literature, that they say this. You are marked from the beginning. I mean, you are born to suffer. And these crying can seem so. I mean, it can seem a new life that is born that will suffer, but this crying means also the beautiful um, art of being alive. I mean, this crying makes you think, makes you understand that that baby is alive, and that is the work of nature. because he was born. It's like as if a new chance is born, a new life is born. So until there's life, it's impossible that humanity will fade away. It's impossible that humanity will be lost forever. And of course, hope that derives from this new life being born. Will that baby survive? I really hope so, sincerely. I hope that he will survive, that that baby will grow, and he will grow by listening to that incredible story. And I hope that even from some of these people who are helping this baby move back so he can survive, I hope that some of these people too will survive to tell him what happened when he was born, to tell him that someone helped him surviving. Because when this new baby will hear these things, he will understand that humanity is not what happened thousands of years before, that means one against the other one, but he will even understand that human beings like to cooperate, like to stand, like to share, and like to help each other. That would be so amazing, that if this baby will grow and he will learn the story even from people who survived in that moment, to let him understand that if you help each other, you can keep surviving, you can have another chance. And then there is the sand, because now we go back to Armin. While he is desperately trying to convince his body to move, to react, and whatever, he opens his hand and he finds sand. But sand that is not just the sand that Ymir used to create the Titans, etc., etc., as a reaction of the owner, I mean, the ability of the owner to transform, etc., etc. No, this sand is also representing the will to keep creating, because Ymir, thanks to that sand, was creating the Titans. But Armin, with this sand, doesn't have to create Titans. He can create new ideas. He can create a new path, a way to reach the purpose that is to save humanity. The sand that you can use to build new ideas, to build new ways to save humanity, to build a new world. And in fact, what he will do after is exactly that. He will create a conversation with Zik. He will create, thanks to this conversation, a way to help Bertold to respond to his will, and that means to cooperate with them to stop these titans created by and controlled by Eren, to go against them. He will create the ability to stop the rumbling. So this sand that Armin has in his hand is a powerful sand. Is a sand that represents the will to create, the will to keep going on trying. And from now on, you see the arise of Armin, the way to stand up again and try one more time. After reaching the bottom, you stand up again and you keep going on trying. That's so beautiful. This ascent not only means that he reached the path of Ymir, I mean, that dimension. That ascent means, look, let's keep going on creating something, thinking about what to create to be able to defeat what's going on. Exactly. Immediately after he said, "Oh, that's a sand," he says, "Think," because if you think, you can create. And also because I think you are not dead already. That means you can still keep trying. No. Yes. Yes. And I think Ymir left him in that limbo, let's say, because it was important for him to take this step first. That means to confront himself, to be able to convey all his emotions and say them how out loud in order to be ready to have a conversation with Zeke. So nothing is a coincidence here. Things had to go step by step to reach this goal. Eh, you know what's happening because you are connected to Eren anyway. You are connected to the paths regarding the founding Titan. Absolutely, yes. Esatto, exactly. Armin here is saying so there. So if that's true, that means if I am connected to the paths, it might be something I can. There might be something I can accomplish here. Yes, because he is over there to try to talk to Zeke. And Ymir knew this very well. I mean, she knew that Zeke was there. So what should we do? We should bring Armin over there. But first, he has to confront with his inner self. Then he can realize that he is not dead and that he has another chance to try to modify things or to solve things, to meet Zeke, to speak to him, etc., etc., etc. The fact that they are all aliens are all connected, absolutely yes, because they all descend from her, they all descend from Ymir, and at the same time, people who own a Titan, they can be connected more than others. I mean, more than people, more than aliens who are not transformed into Titans. But he is a Titan too, so he is more connected. Let's say. Think. Wow. Zeke says, "Hi, Eren's friend. Were you also consumed by Mir too?" Because Zika is spending lots of time over there trying to find a solution, try to desperately understand her and understand the situation. He feels consumed. and even Eren is consumed already. So the way in which this voice acting of Zeke is saying "Konnichiwa, Eren no Tomodachi," it's so amazing because this tone of a voice definitely represents how Zeke feels. That means consumed. And I totally liked it, sincerely. But the fact that he's asking him, "Are you consumed by Ymir too, Armin?" No, I mean, Armin is still not completely consumed by Ymir or by the situation. That's why there is the hope, the possibility that everything can still change. Okay, guys, I finish this live streaming right now. Thank you so much for the support as always. Thank you for all the comments. And I see you tomorrow with another part in which we will analyze the discussion between Zeke and Armin that is quite important. And so, yes, thank you so much for the support. And tomorrow I will start one more time from this scene to connect myself with the rest. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Bye. Keep subscribing to the channel. And thank you for being here with me as always. Bye. See you. Bye bye. Bye bye.